You're petting your cat like you always do. Everything seems calm. Maybe they're even leaning into your hand, enjoying the moment. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, they scratch you. Most people react to the scratch itself. They pull their hand away, maybe say, "Hey," or just sit there wondering what just happened. But what most cat owners completely miss is what happens in the next few seconds. Because right after a cat hurts you, something very interesting often happens. Your cat might look directly at you, stay unusually still, walk a few steps away, and then quietly come back, or even start grooming themselves like nothing happened. These reactions aren't random. In fact, the moments immediately after a cat scratches or bites someone can reveal a lot about what your cat actually felt in that moment. Whether it was fear, overstimulation, confusion, or something else entirely. And there's one reaction cats sometimes show right after scratching their owner that most people misunderstand completely, when in reality it can reveal how safe your cat actually feels around you. So, if your cat has ever scratched you and then done something that made you think, "Wait, what are they doing now?" Pay close attention, because the first thing many cats do right after hurting their owner is something behavior experts call a reaction check. The first thing many cats do right after hurting their owner is something behavior specialists often describe as a reaction check. Right after the scratch happens, instead of running away immediately, the cat pauses and looks at you. Sometimes it's just for a second or two. Sometimes it's a longer stare, almost like they're studying your face or your movement. In that moment, your cat isn't challenging you, and they're not necessarily showing aggression. What they're actually doing is reading your reaction. If you suddenly pull your hand back, raise your voice, or move quickly, your cat registers that shift immediately. But if your reaction stays calm, many cats will simply keep watching for a second, as if they're processing the situation. It's almost like a quick emotional scan of the environment. Your cat is asking without words, "Did that change something between us?" And interestingly, the cats that stay and watch your reaction instead of instantly running away are often the ones that already feel relatively safe around their owner. They're not reacting to a threat. They're trying to understand the moment. But what some cats do right after this brief moment of watching you is even more surprising, because instead of staying tense or defensive, their entire behavior suddenly shifts. The second reaction some cats show after scratching their owner is something that looks subtle, but it reveals a lot about what's happening inside their mind. Right after the scratch, instead of staying alert or defensive, the cat suddenly becomes very calm. They might sit down, lower their body, or simply pause and stop moving for a moment. At first glance, it can look like nothing, but this sudden shift in energy is actually a very common emotional reset in cats. Many scratches don't happen because a cat wants to hurt someone. They happen because the cat became overstimulated, surprised, or reacted too quickly in the middle of play or petting. And when that quick reaction passes, the cat's body starts calming itself down almost immediately. You might notice their posture soften, their movement slow, or their attention drift away from the moment that just happened. It's like their nervous system switches from reaction mode back to normal mode in a matter of seconds. This is why some cats scratch during an intense moment and then suddenly look completely relaxed again, as if the tension just disappeared. But what makes things even more interesting is that some cats don't just calm down after the scratch. A few seconds later, they quietly return to the same space where you are. The third reaction some cats have after scratching someone is something many people notice but rarely understand. After the scratch happens, the cat walks a few steps away. Sometimes they jump off the couch, move to the floor, or simply create a little bit of distance between you and them. At first, it can feel like your cat is leaving the situation, but then something interesting happens. A few seconds later, they slowly return to the same area where you are. Not in a dramatic way, not rushing back, but quietly moving nearby again. They might pass close to you, circle around the room, or settle down somewhere within view. This behavior is often a way for the cat to rebalance the moment. The scratch created a sudden spike of tension, and by stepping away briefly, the cat releases that tension. But by returning to the same space, they're also signaling that the relationship hasn't changed. In other words, the cat isn't trying to end the interaction completely. They're just resetting the emotional atmosphere of the situation. And this quiet return is something you'll notice more often in cats that feel secure with their owner. Instead of disappearing or hiding, they stay within the same environment as if the moment was just a brief interruption in an otherwise normal interaction. But the most fascinating reaction some cats have after scratching someone doesn't involve looking at you or coming back to you at all. Instead, it involves something they start doing to themselves. Another reaction some cats have after scratching someone is something that at first glance seems completely unrelated to the moment that just happened. Right after the scratch, the cat suddenly begins grooming themselves. They start licking their paw, their chest, or the side of their body, sometimes very calmly, as if nothing unusual just occurred. Many owners see this and assume your cat simply moved on from the situation. But in reality, grooming right after a tense moment is often a way for cats to regulate their own emotions. When a cat experiences a sudden spike of stimulation, whether it's excitement, stress, or confusion during play or petting, their nervous system reacts quickly. Grooming can help them bring that internal tension back down. It's similar to how humans sometimes take a deep breath, stretch, or fidget with something after an awkward or intense moment. The action itself helps the body return to balance. So, when your cat scratches and then immediately begins grooming, they're not ignoring what happened. In many cases, they're calming themselves down after reacting too quickly. And interestingly, the cats that do this often remain in the same area, showing that the moment was more of a brief emotional spike than a true conflict. But the final reaction some cats show after scratching someone might be the most revealing of all because it quietly shows how much trust still exists in that space between you. The final reaction some cats show after scratching someone is subtle, but it can reveal something very important about how your cat sees you. Instead of running away completely, hiding or leaving the room, the cat simply creates a little distance, but stays in the same space with you. They might walk a few steps away, sit on the other side of the couch, move to the floor nearby, or settle down somewhere across the room, but they don't disappear. They don't run to another part of the house, and they don't act like they need to escape the situation entirely. This small detail tells you something powerful about how safe your cat feels in that environment. When a cat truly feels threatened, their instinct is usually to create as much distance as possible. They leave the area, hide, or remove themselves from the situation completely. So, the next time your cat scratches you, try not to focus only on the scratch itself. Instead, watch what happens in the moments right after. Does your cat look back at you to read your reaction? Do they suddenly calm down, step away for a second, or quietly stay in the same space with you? Those small reactions can reveal a lot about what your cat was actually feeling in that moment. Because most scratches aren't acts of aggression. They're usually quick reactions to overstimulation, confusion during play, or simply a moment where the cat's senses became overwhelmed. What truly matters is what your cat does next. That's where often their real emotional state shows up. Now, I'm curious about your cat. After they scratch you, what did they usually do right after? Do they watch you, walk away, or come back a few seconds later? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to read your experiences. And if you enjoy learning the hidden meanings behind your cat's behavior, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Because sometimes the smallest things cats do are actually the ones that reveal the most about how they feel.